In today's video, we are going to look at Donald Trump's election, and we're going to take a look and see what it means for the wars that are going on around the world. Many of you know Donald Trump. He was just elected again as President of the United States, winning all the battleground states to get enough electoral votes in order to become the 47th President of the United States. He was the previous president for 4 years, so we have a bit of a record and a bit of a history that we can look at. He has claimed that he will end the wars. We're going to take a look at this claim and try to make some predictions on what might happen. Before we get into that, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, help out the algorithm, write a nice comment so we can get the word out. We're going to go ahead and look at what Donald Trump is going to do. People were very happy when he said no Mike Pompeo and no Nikki Haley in his cabinet. They were big war hawks in his first term. Let's take a look at some things he actually did in his first term. Some people say he was very anti-war, and it seemed that he was able to help bring about the end of the war in Afghanistan, where the United States spent a lot of money and 20 years of replacing the Taliban with the Taliban. Yeah, that was a big waste of lots of resources and people's lives. That's a whole different topic. Another thing that he did was he went into the DMZ and he met with the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, and we just mentioned some war hawks. There was also another one by the name of John Bolton. He has never seen a war or a prospect of a war that he does not like. I think that's what he dreams about every night, and North Korea was one of his topics. Yeah, he definitely wanted a war on the Korean Peninsula. Yeah, they say that Donald Trump, he did try to negotiate, and the Koreans, they definitely wanted certain things that they were not willing to compromise on, but they did make some compromises and tried to make a deal, and maybe Trump, he might have agreed, but we had someone like John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, Nikki Haley, and other neocons who definitely talked Trump out of it. Kim Jong-un, the rocket man, he's been launching rockets ever since. Yeah, they call him the rocket man. He's got some nice big rockets, and right before the election, yeah, he definitely launched off a nice ICBM, and definitely letting people know not to attack his country, that he wants to protect it. That's definitely what he's letting us know. I don't think he's going to start a war, but yeah, defend his country. That's what a lot of these countries, they just want to do. They want to defend themselves, but that's a different topic. And I got some other videos about Korea, so you can watch some of them. NATO has also talked about North Korean troops in Kursk in Russia, and even has said that they've been inside of Ukraine. We got a video about that too. Yeah, that is one hotspot, but right now it's not a war. So let's go ahead and talk about where there are wars, and that would be Ukraine. It doesn't look very good for the Ukrainians. They're losing a lot of territory every day. And the green t-shirt, the comedian in charge, he's still trying to get NATO involved. Yeah, he's doing his job. That is to run around and try to get money and weapons from NATO, and maybe even get NATO troops on the ground. And now we have the UK talking about it. We've had Poland, France, and many others. Donald Trump has said he will end the war in 24 hours, which I actually think he can do if he says no more weapons, and he can make all the NATO countries also say no more weapons. Yeah, the war would probably end with the green t-shirt, Mr. Comedian Man, Mr. Zelensky, finally surrendering, Ukraine becoming a neutral country. But is that what's going to happen? Well, let's take a look at some of the people that Donald Trump is talking about putting in his cabinet now. As we said, there's no more Bolton, no more Pompeo, and no more Nikki Haley. So that means we can be celebrating, putting off fireworks everywhere, and we're all very happy because now we have a very anti-war candidate who's going to end the war. Let's actually take a look and see if that is true. Now we have seen who he wants to appoint in Nikki Haley's spot. That would be the ambassador to the UN. Mr. Joe Biden has appointed a lady who is basically a clone of Nikki Haley with a different name and a little bit of a different voice. Yes, it's a woman. She's done about the same thing that Nikki Haley's done. Every time she votes for the Z state, she votes against the rest of the world, and she always votes for sanctions and all the other terrible things that are going on. She's very pro-war. That seems to be a prerequisite of being the ambassador to the UN from the United Nations. And I think Donald Trump, he must have gotten the memo because now he's saying he's going to appoint Elise Stefanik, also another woman with about the same views. There's not much difference. I think they look different. They're probably from different states. We can look here at CNN, and they have a brief article. It says that she's a New York congresswoman. She's supposed to be a America First fighter. Yes, Donald Trump, he has the MAGA, they make America great again. But as we are about to see, that MAGA maybe is not the correct word. It says the choice of Stefanik signals a more combative U.S. posture towards the UN. That's very hard to imagine if you've seen any of the debates going on recently on the Security Council. The United States, that ambassador, she's always pointing out Russia and occasionally China, trying to pick a fight. She's always very combative. And not only is she very combative, but she always votes against everybody else. Recently, there were 2 countries that voted to continue the embargo on Cuba. That would be the United States. And that would also be Israel, the Z state. We're about ready to get to them. So you're going to have to keep watching. So this one seems like she's going to be the same thing. She has said that the Biden administration should consider a complete reassessment of U.S. funding for the UN if the Palestinian Authority continues to pursue a push to revoke Israel's UN membership. Yep, there are a few countries that want to kick the Z state out of the UN for all their crimes that they're committing. That's a different topic. And we got videos about that too, and we will make more. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and how about the algorithm? Yeah, write some comments. Stefanik has been one of Trump's staunch supporters in Congress. The thing about Stefanik is she is a very big Z state firster. She is not MAGA. She is MEGA. You can figure out the initials, M-I-G-A. The I does not stand for America. Yeah, she can say she's MAGA all she wants, but she's going to vote for the Z state, even ahead of the U.S. interests. Yeah, she'll probably vote exactly how the State Department tells her, which is exactly how the current one is voting, and that is exactly how Nikki Haley voted. And if you go back to Obama, I'm sure that's how his ambassador also voted. So nothing is going to change. The neocon, the pro-war rhetoric, and the pro-war votes will continue in the United Nations. So now we're going to talk about Secretary of State. That used to belong to Mike Pompeo. Now it belongs to Anthony Blinken. I think the only difference there is the name and maybe the body size. I guess Blinken is a bit better in health, and he's not quite as big. Pompeo was quite big. I think he's actually lost some weight. Besides that, how they look and what their names are, there is absolutely no difference. So now they're talking about Marco Rubio. He is a senator from the state of Florida. He is also a big war hawk. He has voted very strongly in favor of the Ukraine war, and he's also voted very much as a MEGA senator. Yeah, he has voted for the Z state, sending them more weapons, supporting their G side. He's also very much in favor of maybe a war in Korea or China. Yeah, we don't see much difference there. The thing about Rubio is his parents are from Cuba, and yet he is very much anti-Cuba, wants to continue an embargo on an island country that has not served any purpose. Whether you agree with the government of Cuba or not, that's a different topic. But why are they being embargoed? And why can we trade with other countries and we can't trade with Cuba? That does not make much sense to me. And it doesn't make much sense to the rest of the world. As I pointed out, even our European allies and our Asian allies, they all said that we should stop that. And the only one that didn't is the one that's committing a G-side in the Middle East. That kind of tells you right where we are. And that tells you what you need to know about Marco Rubio. Yeah, that's just another Mike Pompeo. He's a Mike Pompeo, but he's Latino. So maybe people will like him more. But you should just look at what they stand for and not what they look like. So no more jokes about Pompeo. There's no difference. And there's no difference between Blinken and Rubio. Blinken is very bad. And I think everybody does not like him, which is probably why he's going bye-bye too. We definitely, in America, we like to make our politicians go bye-bye because we don't like them. And we just replace them with the same thing. It's just a clone. Yeah, I don't know how that's much different than, say, some of these other countries that we somehow seem to not like. Maybe these other countries are a bit better because you actually know where they're going to stand. Another placement that has come up is for the ambassador to the Z state. That's going to go to Mike Huckabee, who was a former governor of Arkansas. Huckabee and Rubio name is Stefanik. I guess they still have to be approved by the Congress. And the Republicans, they have won the Congress. And the thing about the Congress is that the APAC, they have bought almost everyone. So even 99% of the Republicans and the Democrats, they all agree on this issue. And if someone is like an outsider, say like in the recent senator race in Arizona, the Republican candidate was an outsider. She's never held office before, and she did not win, despite Trump winning by like 6%. Point is, it's very hard for outsiders to get in. And even if they're not that great, they still might be better than the alternative. Yeah, it seems like that the Congress and the president, even if they want to be an outsider, something's going to happen. We know what happened to John F. Kennedy, and I think Russian President Vladimir Putin. He has pointed out that if Trump tries to go against the establishment, what will happen? No, it's not the Russians that will do anything. It will be the Americans that will take out their own president. That would be the American establishment. Yeah, the people probably will be upset, and they might riot and protest in the streets, but the establishment won't care, because then they'll just get in whoever they want. Yeah, we do have a history of that in the United States. So we look back at Huckabee. He is going to be the ambassador to the Z state, and he is very much against the Palestinians. He is very pro-G side, and he seems to agree with the worst of the Z state politicians. The Z state, they should just annex all the Palestinian lands. There's no Palestinian state, according to him. But maybe he's right. Maybe there should be a one-state solution. I think that would be the policy of some countries, particularly like Iran. I think even North Korea, they have the same policy. A one-state solution. Everybody gets the right to vote, and there is no apartheid. And we see who wins. Of course, everybody has the same rights, whether they're a Christian, a Muslim, or a Jew. So I don't think that's what Mr. Huckabee has in mind. I think he wants the Z people to have all the rights, and he wants to continue the G side. So that's not the position that some of these global South countries are taking, putting the U.S. on a big crash course for a big war in the Middle East. And we know that the Biden administration, they sent a lot of weapons, Air Force, military, THAAD missile defense systems over to the Z state. They have a lot of Air Force hanging out in the Persian Gulf, bases in like Qatar, Iraq, and some of these other places. There's over 800 military bases around the world. One of our boogeymen is Iran. And, Iran, they don't have a military base in, say, like Cuba or Mexico, but we have military bases all around Iran. Another boogeyman is North Korea. They have absolutely no military bases outside of Korea. They don't even have it on the south part of the peninsula. But there are 2 military bases in Seoul, one right downtown, one in the suburbs down south, a little bit further away from the DMZ. Yeah, that just tells you where the U.S. military bases are. I don't think Donald Trump is going to close any military bases. And he does say he will end the NATO war, the proxy war with Ukraine. He might be able to do that. I did see that he supposedly made a phone call to Vladimir Putin and threatened him. However, the Russians have said that phone call has never happened. We don't really know what happened, but it is likely. At least Donald Trump, he likes to talk, and he's definitely a lot better at speaking than Joe Biden, and that is definitely a plus. I do think that is a good thing. It would be good if he used that ability to try to make peace. And I think even if he personally wants to, which he may, he is a businessman and he likes to make money. So I think he knows what's in the best interest. We do have a deep state. We have a lot of these neocons. And in order for Trump to be in power, he seems to have to make a deal to put in these neocons who will definitely influence him, just like they did in the first administration. Yeah, we saw in the first administration in Latin America, Trump never changed anything. He did not end any blockades. He did not try to negotiate with Cuba, and he tried to install a puppet government in Venezuela, and that fell apart. And Biden has, of course, tried to do the same exact thing. But then when we go to the Middle East, we see that these hawks, they are very pro-Z state. There's not going to be any peaceful solution. The only peaceful solution probably come after a bigger war. We're hoping for peace, of course. We're just looking at things here and trying to analyze, trying not to take sides on one party or the other. I would like to see Donald Trump make peace in the world, and I think he could do it if he really wanted to. He'd get the same fate that John F. Kennedy got, and I don't think he's willing to do that. And I think he wants to stay in power more than he's willing to be a martyr. Some people, they just believe in power, and it seems to be the case if you want to be president of the United States, even if you have good intentions, which most of them don't. Some of them maybe did. It seems like the deep state, these neocons, they are well entrenched, and they're going to infiltrate you. And that's exactly what's going to happen to Donald Trump. So that is our conclusion for today. Now, Donald Trump may be more successful in Ukraine, but he is talking about a DMZ with British and American troops. That's going to be a big no-no from the Russians. They're going to not agree, and they will continue to keep pushing into Kiev and eventually get rid of the green t-shirt man, the Zelensky man, and they'll probably put in a better politician than the comedian in charge now. That would be better for the Ukrainian people, and then the war will probably end. Donald Trump will take credit for it because it's probably going to end during his term, but it's not going to end on January 21st. He said he can do that, but I don't think he will. And then we'll have a big conflict in the Middle East, which will definitely draw in the Russians once again. So even if we're not fighting the Russians over in Ukraine, America will be fighting the Russians in the Middle East, possibly on the Asian theater. Seems like that China is the big enchilada. That's the one that they really want to go for, and they can go for it either in Taiwan or in Korea. I don't think that they're going to be able to pull that one off, and they would be in for a big surprise if they decide to go to war with China. So that is the conclusion for today. Thank you for watching. Please like the video, share it with your friends to help out the algorithm, to help more people find out the news. So hope that you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.